this is Mark with Right Line Trading, and this is our evening newsletter, which begins with this disclaimer that all signals and trading opportunities that we provide are for educational and demonstration purposes only. Right Line, everyone understands that trading the markets involves substantial risk, and a person can lose a substantial amount of money. Always carefully consider your financial position prior to trading and never risk more than you can afford to lose. Now, the stock that really caught my attention today is one that I have been following since its IPO. And I really regret not purchasing it right on its IPO date. Today it is up 80%. It's Adagio Therapeutics. The ticker is ADGI. And it's primarily involved in the production of antibody-based solutions for infectious diseases with pandemic potential. So obviously the company's done a lot of work on the SARS-CoV-2 virus and its variants, and the disease caused by the virus, which is known as COVID. Now it's got a couple of products in clinical stage development. The most powerful, which is ADG20. Now this is for the prevention of coronavirus and also for the treatment of it. And so if you catch COVID, this medication is supposedly geared to ameliorate its symptoms. So the ADG 20 molecule has broadly neutralizing antibodies. Now, they announced today that they believe that their medicine, which, as I said, is in clinical stage development, will be effective against this Omicron variant because of the fact that they're looking for a broad-based array of antibodies to be an inherent part of their vaccine. They're not targeting any specific antigenic epitopes. They're looking to target multiple epitopes on the spike virus to neutralize it in its current state and its potential future form as it mutates. Now, we're going to see a whole array of mutations. And I just want to speak very briefly about the evolution of viruses as they mutate. Now, usually the wild strain or the initial strain that we saw is the most virulent. And as the virus begins to develop mutations, it may become more infectious, but its symptomatology tends to wane. So it sort of mutates itself down to a very, very mild illness. Now, that's the exact opposite of what happens with bacteria. As bacteria mutate, they become more virulent. I mean, as they develop specific ways of escaping antibody production, antibiotics that we administer, they can then become more virulent form and actually cause more acute disease. We know that staph, for instance, which has multiple resistance factors for multiple antibiotics, is a very virulent staphylococcal strain. So viruses tend to mutate themselves down to very mild forms, whereas bacteria tend to evolve through their mutations into much more virulent forms. Now, since we're dealing with a viral illness here, I would not be surprised if the Omicron variant turns out to be a very, very mild form of COVID. Early data shows that it is. And the reason that I've brought up Adagio is I think this is a massive overreaction to the announcement. Ultimately, I think it's possible that all of the vaccines that are currently present will have decent efficacy against this variant. If it doesn't, it may wind up to be such a mild form of the disease that it really doesn't become clinically relevant to anyone in the world. I mean, remember, we have influenza, para-influenza, echovirus, Coxsackie virus, a whole host of viruses that cause upper respiratory tract infections in everyone, and they're relatively mild. And the only people that they really injure are the elderly and the immunocompromised, which is exactly the subpopulation of people that the original wild strain coronavirus attacked. Now, I just think that what we're looking at now is a more mild form. I think this is great news from Adagio. I love the stock as a long-term hold. Yeah, it's got brilliant people running the company. If any of their medicines actually come up for approval, I would watch it closely. But remember, this is not even in stage 2 development. It has really never been tested on humans. So this is a long way away from clinical trials. Now, they're hoping that they'll get emergency status approval, but they are not going to get emergency status approval unless they've shown at least to be safe. And that would be a phase 2 trial and a successful one at that. So I think Adagio has made a huge move up. I don't know if it's finished. It may continue to rise, but once the dust settles, I think it's going to make a really big retracement. So this is a great stock. It does not have an option available, but it's a great stock that may set up very, very shortly as a terrific short play. Everyone have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to talking with you tomorrow.